This is Oscar SANPOU reporting to you live from the Brickouts Media podcasting studio in downtown Brooklyn. I wanted to spend a moment talking about a number of things that have happened in recent weeks. The primary issue and the first thing that I would like to share with you viewers was the assassination of Washington Post reporter Mr. Khashoggi. I find it absolutely reprehensible on behalf of the United States President Donald Trump, the manner in which he has addressed this issue. What happened to Mr. Khashoggi was not only a statement to him as a victim, it was a statement to the world that has global implications. I understand that as a businessman, he has a personal objective, but in all frankness, I understand that selling the arms to the Saudis should not really be a priority. If the Russians want to sell them firearms, by all means do so, because as a country, we should be setting an ethical example, not addressing the issues that are monetary and considering that first and foremost. It's not. What really matters is the very sanctity of life itself. The manner in which they executed Mr. Khashoggi was like something right out of a Tom Clancy novel. I just absolutely couldn't believe it. But to cut to the chase and be very concise about this, when it's all said and done, Donald Trump is really not going to address the issue. He's going to sell them the arms and ultimately make a statement, not only about himself as a person, but also about the culture of this country here. The truth of the matter is, they don't care for Donald Trump any more than Louis Farrakhan does. He thinks that they like him. The reality is that they don't. They know from a cultural perspective that in this country, money is God. They know that at the end of the rainbow, he is going to do whatever he has to do to make the money. The reality is, in their world, they know how to make money, but they're not willing to sell their soul to the junkyard dog for money. They have as much money as there is water in the ocean, and they know that at the end of the day, Donald Trump is going to concede and do what he wants to do. It's a travesty. I'd like to address for a second the issue of the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh to the United States Supreme Court. I'm not concerned what he did as a teenager. Teenagers can be very flukish, but what I did find very disturbing was the manner in which he presented himself through the process of interrogation. His body language was not consistent with what he had to say. We have to keep in mind that he is a judge. He is seasoned. He is not a layperson. When he was asked a question, instead of addressing the question in a manner that was concise, he took the question, inverted it, and threw it back at the person that asked the question in a manner that was accusatory. That was incorrect. His body language was not consistent with what came out of his mouth. I watched him very carefully, very, 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 very carefully. Not only how he said what he said, but the mechanics of how he moved his mouth, how he moved his hands, how he moved envelopes, how he picked up a cup of water to drink from it. There were too many discrepancies. When he was asked 5 times about going before an independent FBI board, his answers were ambiguous. They were not concise. They were not straightforward. He did not have a bring-it-on approach. I did not feel that it was correct. If that's the manner in which he functioned as a judge, the reality is for him to be a member of the Supreme Court is dangerous because now his access to power is infinite. I think this is a great time for people to step back and examine exactly where we are as a nation. Yesterday, the midterm elections were held. Right now, the political state of affairs in this country is very divisive. As a 54-year-old man, I have never, ever, ever seen such dissension. I wouldn't blame Donald Trump because Donald Trump is a reflection of the people that put him there, but we're passing through a time where the art of scapegoating is doing very well because it puts a person in a position. I'll use myself as an example. If I point my finger at you long and hard enough, it just might put me in a space where I don't have to deal with what's wrong with me. And right now in this country, that seems to be doing very well. The racial climate is proliferating in a manner that I would just simply regard as volcanic and very dangerous. I have seen more racism in New York City in the last 3 years than I did collectively in the 50 years that preceded it, and even found myself in a precarious situation last year where I had to tell a few people, I don't need a green card to be in the United States. The reality is, unless you're an American Indian, you come from someplace else. My father was from Guinea, West Africa. He wasn't here. This is a time for people to step back and reflect and decide exactly where it is that we want to go. I will speak to you shortly and have a wonderful day. God bless you, and I will see you very soon.